Yes, Mr. God, describe about yourself and district Rewari in 3-4 lines.
Sir, I was born and brought up in Rewari. It's a city, southern district in Haryana. It's around 90 kilometers from the national capital, and it is famous for its freedom fighters and the army personnel and the defense personnel that are there. And Rao Tularam is a very famous personality who belonged to Rewari, and he was a participant in the 1857's freedom revolution that was there.
Is Rewari also known as brass city of the country?
Yes, sir. It is known as the brass city of the country because of the large brass industries here.
What kind of economic growth in brass is there in last 20 years?
Sir, in the last 20 years, I would say there hasn't been a fillip growth in the brass industry, mainly because the services sector, the medical lines, and the clothing industry has developed faster than the brass industry. Earlier, there used to be many such factories in and around the city which were flourishing, but now it has been quite limited to a few factories there. So there hasn't been much progress, but it is still there, sir, significantly.
Which other city of Haryana is also known as brass city?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of it.
Probably it is Yamunanagar.
All right, sir. I know.
Okay.
Yes.
Rewari is associated with Rezangla
Yes, sir.
of 1962 China War. What is the Rezangla episode?
Sir, during the Battle of Rezangla in 1962, in the Indo-Chinese battle, many of the serving personnel from Rewari laid down their lives and did the supreme sacrifice guarding the post of Rezangla. And in their memory as well, we have erected a Rezangla memorial in the city itself, sir.
Okay. Who was the officer who got the Paramveer Chakra in that episode?
Sir, if your permission is there, I can make a guess. I'm not able to exactly recall.
Okay. Because his brother was serving with me, therefore I know. He was from Rajasthan, Jaisalmer, Shaitan Singh Bhati.
Yes, sir, Major Shaitan Singh.
Okay, okay. Good. So why you are interested to become officer in the Central Armed Police Force?
Sir, from my childhood itself, I have always aspired to have a profession that is inclined towards national defense and security as well as law and order. So in congruence with that, sir, I have also appeared in the civil services with the Indian Police Service as the first preference of mine. And apart from that, I believe that this profession is in congruence with what I believe my profession should be in life. So that is why I aspire to become a CAPF.
What were your past activities as far as the NCC, NSS, or games are concerned in school and college?
Yes, sir. Sir, in college, I used to play cricket, and in the school as well, I was the captain of the school house team of the cricket team. Apart from that, for 6 to 8 months in college, I was a participant in.
Participated in? Yes, आपका इंटरनेट में प्रॉब्लम आ गई थी कुछ.
I believe so, sir. Now it is sorted. It is working.
Okay.
So, sir. Yes. Sir.
So, what were the NCC or NSS activities? Did you?
Sir, as I was telling, in college, I was associated with the NSS in my second year, where in an initiative known as Padhaku, we used to teach the underprivileged and poor children from around the college colonies. After college, we used to teach 2 to 3 hours daily.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
These days, there is a lot of talk about SYL, and SYL
Yes.
is not coming as a project in the near future. It is almost a
Yes,
dead
sir.
project.
Yes, sir.
What do you think that politicians should do so that there is water in southern Haryana as well as in parts of the Haryana which are affected by Satluj Yamuna link canal?
Yes, sir. Sir, the SYL continues to remain a controversial issue because of the water divide and the pre-existing treaties between various states. So apart from that, what the politicians can do, especially regarding Southern Haryana, is that they can bring in revolutionary changes in the agricultural practices that we have been doing, especially in Southern Haryana, mainly because wheat and mustard continue to be the major crops which are being grown in this area. And these are water guzzling crops as well, sir. So most of the water table that used to exist at a very low, higher level above the ground, now it has shifted very low, and the water table has shifted very low, and that has made the extraction of groundwater for agriculture as well as other activities difficult. Apart from that, what can be done is, sir, the rejuvenation of canals can also be taken, because right now there is episodic release of water in the canals in and around southern Haryana. So they could be made more regular, and there can be perennial flow of water throughout those canals. They can be strengthened, and the stealth of water should also be checked, because unregulated stealth of water is there for industrial as well as agricultural processes.
Okay. Then the another problem is mining in Aravalli regions of
Yes, sir.
Gurgaon and Nuh.
Yes, sir.
So how
Yes,
can we put a check on it?
Sir, mining is growing as an illicit trade, where mafia people are controlling it when it comes to sand as well as related construction material. So what can be done is a more stricter a formulation of laws as well as environmental impact assessment can be allowed to the existing Aravallis, since only relic parts of Aravallis now exist because of in the past we have unjudiciously exploited these resources, and now very little part of it is left. So it is now a moral duty as well as our legal duty to protect it and enforce those pre-existing provisions with vigor and awareness, sir.
Recently, CM Manohar Lal announced the Jungle Safari project in Aravalli.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
what is that project?
Sir, while the Chief Minister was touring the United Arab Emirates, he announced taking an inspiration from similar project there in Dubai, and he announced a Jungle Safari project. This will involve a tourism-related project in the Aravallis, where we will have people coming from different countries as well as our own country to visit and have a look at the existing flora as well as fauna of the Aravallis. Mainly, there are certain endemic species which are restricted to Aravallis, which when extended to the Rajasthan region, there are also lions as well as leopards present in it, which provide it or accentuate its beauty.
What kind of flora and fauna flourish in Aravallis?
Sir, mainly it is of semi-arid kind, where plants like babool, kikar, neem, and similar species are found. Apart from that, in fauna, there are various kinds of snakes that are found, various kinds of other cattle are found, like nilgai is there, chital is there, as well as different kinds of birds also there, which are restricted to this semi-arid and arid region of Aravallis.
You must be reading time and again. There is a fight over the capital of Punjab and Haryana, that is Chandigarh.
Yes,
So should Haryana develop its own capital somewhere in the Haryana itself?
sir, in the long run, this can be made as a project, but for right now, not only will it cause unnecessary burden on the expenditure of public purse, but it will also lead to a lot of shifting as well as hassle in the administrative structure. So I believe in the union territory that is centrally controlled by the government of India, it is good to have a shared capital with Punjab, because till now we have functioned quite well, and also it keeps a check on the parochial activities of people demanding separate capital.
Okay, good. Who is the leader of the Sikh for Justice, who is demanding Khalistan time and again?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall the name.
Okay, okay. Recently, we had requested for the issuing of red corner notice through Interpol,
yes, sir.
But it was rejected.
It's rejected, sir.
Okay.
I remember the last name, sir. It was some Buller,
No,
GC Buller or something. Yes.
No problem. It hardly matters.
Yes.
What is your choice among the CAPF?
Some of first choice is the Central Industrial Security Force, followed by SSB, and then ITBP, and then BSF and CRPF.
Okay, good. So what is the role and task of CASF?
Sir, CISF is mainly used to guard the critical infrastructural installations of Government of India, and that also involves PSUs, and it also provides security and security related consultation to other private installations as well. Mainly it provides security to the nuclear power plants, airports, stations, etc.
I think 2 months back, Home Minister, while addressing one of the function of the CASF, said that by 2030, private security agencies should be prepared to take over the assets from the CASF, and the strength of the CASF should be reduced slowly and steadily. So, how do you view the whole statement?
Sir, as far as the functioning of the force is concerned, it has been very efficient and revenue generating for the Government of India when it comes to providing private security. But in order to bring in more efficiency and bring private players in the sector of security, I think this can prove a progressive step from the Home Ministry. While the strength of the force might be cut a little, but that will also provide an overall boost, and per capita budget availability will be increased to a new high, sir, and that will positively affect the working of the organizations.
Okay. What kind of difference in the leadership do you see in the functioning of a officer of CASF vis-a-vis an IPS officer, say Assistant Superintendent Police, who is newly appointed?
Sir, the IPS officers, newly appointed IPS officers, are mainly concerned with civilian law and order responsibilities. And they also have a plethora of other factors that are to be concerned. That is taking a guard and be vigilant about external threats and the law and order problems that might arise out of other such factors like Naxalism and all. But when it comes to CAPFs, the role is a bit different from it, and they are strictly mandated to safeguard the internal security of India, as well as guard the borders when they are asked to do so, and prepare as a buffer force in case of border conflicts till the army takes over.
I mean to say, what personality traits should be difference of personality traits between an IPS and between a CAPF officer? Can you draw 2-3 personality traits which are required for the CAPF and not required for the IPS?
Sir, the CAPF officer should be more in line with the military tactics and the military aspects of policing and law and order, while an IPS officer in a civilian installation has more to do with civil interaction and openness, and thus his responsibilities are a bit different, and he should be more aware and open about the citizen charter, and his empathy should be openly expressed towards the civilian population of that area. While for a CAPF officer, it comes to commanding and man management, which should be his or her priorities when it comes to the range that he's working.
Okay. Given the choice, you get both the chances, that is CASF as well as civil services. You
Yes,
get the IPS. So what will you prefer?
sir, I will prefer IPS because in that capacity, I will also get to work. I might also get to work with the CAPFs later on after gaining some experience.
Okay. What is the difference between line of control and line of actual control?
Sir, the line of control is the border that separates India and Pakistan on the northwestern sector, while the line of actual control is the border that is separating India and China on the northeastern and eastern part of the country. Line of control was actually an immediate ceasefire that was established after the Pakistani invasion in 1948 and the battle that ensued, while line of actual control is considered as a more regulated and politically established border between India and China.
Okay. Say after selection and passing out, you become an officer in CSF and you are in the Mathura refinery. And one fine day, there is fire in the Mathura refinery. So what actions will you coordinate to put out the fire and to prevent your Jawans from getting burns?
Sir, I will firstly ensure that the specialist people who are to deal with the contingency of fire incidents in the refinery are quickly employed in the situation. After that, those people who are giving general duties or who are not so familiar with such contingencies are firstly evacuated, along with any civilian or vulnerable population that may be present in and around the refinery. After that, I'll make sure that there is an adequate supply of the extinguishing material, that may be sand or the CO2 extinguishers that we use. And I will properly ensure that no person is making a blunder of using fire water to put out the fire, because that is not practical while there is a fire because of oil. And I will also ensure that electrical supplies and are properly cut off, and the entrances and the exit gates to the refinery are properly guarded and more than open for everyone to escape in case of any contingencies.
What kind of assistance will you seek from the civil administration in such a crisis?
Sir, in the civil administration, I will ask the DM of the city or the nearby accountable person to keep the civilian administration, that is the fire department, ready in case additional reinforcement is required. And I might also ask the superintendent of police and other such authority to keep sandbags ready and efficient transportation ready to put out the fires.
What kind of liaison will you make with the district hospitals or good private hospitals?
Sir, I will quickly get in touch with the private hospitals as well as district hospitals to provide immediate emergency relief to people who have suffered any kind of burns or fire injuries. And I will also make sure that the private hospitals do not deny anyone who is suffering from critical injuries any kind of treatment, because the financial aspect of that can later on be seen by the civilian administration of the force. But no person loses his or her life on account of such contingencies.
Okay, good. How can we improve our relations with the Nepal? Kindly continue. I'll join in a minute.
Yes, sir. Sir, Nepal is a very critical member when it comes to our foreign policy. It has been a friend from time immemorial, and we also have trade, as well as there is a very porous border between Nepal and India, where we are not required to have visa to cross the border. And recently there had been certain issues regarding the Madhesis as well as the Kalapani region of Uttarakhand regarding a border dispute, where Nepal, under the new regime of a prime minister who is considered to be pro-China, had claimed certain Indian territories in their political map. After that, the things have returned quietly to normalcy. And in order to boost our relationship with Nepal, we need to have more cultural exchange with the country, as well as we need to provide trade, lesser trade barriers, as well as provide continuous relief packages, as well as certain money packages to keep the channel more engaged and act as the bigger partner or the elder brother in a relationship, so that the relationship is nicely maintained and the Chinese interference is effectively eliminated.
Okay, in your region, there is a lot of demand for having a AIR regiment, but so far
Yes, sir.
the demand has not been accepted. So what do
Yes,
you think about this demand?
Sir, I tend to disagree with the demand of having the AIR regiment, and that is because, sir, if such a demand is conceded by the government, then there will certainly be more demands from the other caste as well. Since we are following the colonial system of regimentation in the army, it is not correct to give it a complete overhaul in a very short amount of time, but to concede to such demands only shows the casteist angle of the society, and also promotes regionalism and fragmentation within the organization. So that is why I do not think that this is a justified demand.
Good. What are your hobbies?
Sir, in my hobbies includes reading about the Mahabharata, researching about snakes, reading, writing, and playing cricket, sir.
Okay. What have you researched about the snake so far?
Sir, as far as I believe, I am quite familiar with the snakes all over the world, and especially India. I keep reading about them. I keep information database in my laptop as well as in my notebooks about what kind of behavior a particular specimen may exhibit in a situation. And I also keep making people aware about the fact that only 20% of the snakes are venomous of all the species that we encounter. So we should not indiscriminately kill all the specimen, but just to allow these creatures to pass away without giving them any harms.
Recently, a snake man was bitten by the snake in Rajasthan. Almost
Yes,
he was catching snakes for the last 20 years.
yes, sir.
So what do you think that these incidents can give what kind of message to the society?
Yes. Sir, I watched the video of that incident. The person was bitten by a spectacled cobra. He was a very seasoned personnel who had been catching snakes for more than 20 years. But the gap or the lapse was that he had become very casual while catching snakes. He wasn't wearing any gloves or using the snake tongs to control the snake. But with bare hands, he tried to catch it. And with age, as you know, the reflexes slow down, but the snake is very active. So there was the gap that the snake exploited and gave him a bite.
Okay. In Bhuj area, especially in Gujarat,
Yes, sir.
we suffer a lot of casualties because of snakes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if there is snake biting to the
Yes,
Jawan,
sir.
what kind
Yes,
of precautions you will take?
So the first precaution that I will take is to give a very small cut by a sterilized blade on the part of the snake bite. Apart from that, I will ask the Jawan not to panic, walk, or run in that situation, but to sit with a calm head in a level position. After that, I'll wash the wound carefully with water as well as a betadine or some other antiseptic. After that, I'll take him very quickly to the hospital without wasting any little time, and also try to identify the specimen that has bitten, because mostly it is either a dry bite by a venomous snake or it is a non-venomous snake which in defense bites the snake, the soldiers.
Okay. What about the anti-snake venom injections?
Yes, sir. So
Should
that is
it be
available
available in
in
the
every,
battalion or not?
sir, that should be available in the battalion as according to the distribution of snakes in that particular region. And in India, we have polyvalent antivenom. That is, it works for all the venomous species that are existing in India, mainly the big four categories. So we will try to administer antivenom in a contingency situation. But otherwise, it is good to take him to a specialist surgeon or a person or a doctor who specializes in snake bites
Okay, okay.
as soon as possible. Yes.
What kind of instructions will you give to your medical officers on this issue?
Sir, I will first tell about my analysis of the snake, whether it looked venomous or not. After that, I'll try to get information by the snake bite marks because of the teeth or the fangs. Also, the doctor as well as some person who has a knowledge say it is me in this situation. We will try to garner whether the snake was venomous or not, and then we will keep a profile of all the critical factors of that soldier's health, whether the BP is falling or there is a decrease in the RBC count or all these things. And then according to that, we will treat the symptoms.
Okay, we'll stop the recording and then we'll discuss.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.